Hello, and welcome to Handled-ish Productivity for the Imperfect, a weekly podcast for those who want to elevate their productivity but are not looking for perfection. I'm your host, Betsy Hayes, and I'm really happy that you are here with me. This is episode 76, Planning a Wedding in 9 Days. And this is not a joke. I really did plan a wedding in 9 days a few months ago for one of my dearest humans in my life. And it was fabulous. And I think it makes for an interesting story and also has some lessons for event planning, particularly when you are doing something on a tight timeline. Obviously, in a perfect world, we have all the time in the world to plan, but sometimes things happen and we need to do things on an accelerated timeline, as in the case with this wedding. So when my friend approached me and asked if I would host his wedding in my backyard, which happens to be pretty, I of course said yes, because I love him so much. And so it was just off to the races, right? Now, note to self, my friend just wanted something literally simple. No, just put a couple chairs out there, have the ceremony. One of our mutual friends is a registered officiant, so that was good. He just wanted to be very simple, just in a pretty location. However, as a gift, I wanted it to be, a full-on beautiful wedding that was a little bit magical and a little bit memorable. And so I circled back and I said, hey, this is what I would like to do. Obviously needed to make sure it was okay with them, right? You always want to make sure that you check in with the people that are, the event is for, to make sure that if you augment the plans in any way, that it definitely goes with what their vision was. So that was definitely a little cross check there. But again, this was my own decision and that of myself and some of our other friends to make it a very special day. I mean, obviously, you know what I mean. Anyway, so first thing was, okay, what are we going to do and what are we going to not do, right? Because there's, a very traditional list of things at a wedding, and we wanted to, figure out, okay, what can we do and what can't we do? And then you also want to look at the skill sets of folks that are involved and figure out how you can perhaps maximize efficiency with delegation. So, for example, music is something that is often at weddings, and we had the reception, quote unquote, at my house as well, which was a dinner and visiting. We didn't have any dancing, so we weren't going to have any, live music or dancing or anything. But we wanted to have, some beautiful music. And one of my friends, or one of our friends, is super into music, so that was easy. It's like you are in charge of the playlist, which made them very happy. Came up with a gorgeous, fabulous playlist. I mentioned the officiant was handled, so check, check. The couple dealt with the officiant and figured out the plan for the wedding. And so then it was like, okay, well, what are we going to do with the backyard? And one of my friends said, you know what, I really want to rent some, chairs with the pretty covers and the bows. Why don't I do that? Perfect. And of course, we had to find someone who could do it under short notice, but we had to figure out what the color of the bow was. And so I was talking to another friend about, oh my gosh, we need a color scheme for this wedding. So we went back and forth and decided on gold and white. And so therefore we had the decision about what color bows to have. And then of course the color decisions make everything else easier, right? So that was great. It's like, okay, well, we ordered those. What else do we have to order? Okay, we need to order a cake. Great. So got thinking about, okay, where would we be able to get a lovely cake that we could get, in our short time frame. And so I went to the local bakery, not too far from my house, and they were so sweet and so in love with the story. And they just gave us this beautiful deal on this absolutely gorgeous cake that, we just had writing on it. And it was, going to be ready the day of the wedding. And also decided that I really wanted to have some personalized napkins. So again, now that I had the color scheme, I was able to go on Amazon and, get personalized napkins with, gold on white. And they also were going to arrive right before the wedding. And so then I'm thinking, okay, so we have the backyard, we have the officiant, we have the couple, we've got the chairs. I really want to have something, central for them to stand, like a arch was what was in my head. So it was, I think it was the next day. I'm on my way to happy hour and I'm calling a friend and I'm explaining, all of this. She doesn't live in town. And she says, well, why don't you, ask our other friend who happened to be coming to visit me that weekend, which is absolutely wild because while we are totally close, we unfortunately don't get to see each other very much. And so it was such a fun thing that she happened to be coming that weekend, because the idea was that she holds a lot of parties and perhaps would have something that would, be an arch. So I called her and I'm like, hey, do you have an arch? I know that's a really weird question. And she didn't have an arch, but she has this beautiful gold circle thing that you can put flowers on, and it just makes for a really nice sort of central location for the ceremony. And as I mentioned, she was coming, a couple days later. So when she got there, we, put it together, practiced a little bit with some of the stuff she had. I decided that I kind of wanted to order some different, they obviously had to be fake flowers. There was no time for dealing with real flowers here. Um, and so I ordered those, and then I think we were like, okay, everything is ordered. It's all going to be there on time. Thank God for Amazon and for people generously, offering to do these different things. And then you always also, when you have a tight timeline, have to go with your first best choice. So there isn't a lot of time to do a ton of research. There's not a lot of time to, wonder, should I do this? Should I do this? Like with, a lot of events, right? And especially weddings, what kind of cake do I want? What are my colors going to be? What do the flowers look like, right? Well, in this particular situation with a tight timeline, we just went with our best first choice, right? In conversation with the bakery, what is a wonderful idea for a wedding cake flavor, you know, texted the couple, they approved, boom, boom, done and done. I just, made my own decision regarding what the flowers were going to be and on the cake and all of that. Um, same thing with the fake flowers for the arch, right? It's like, okay, what does Amazon have that we can get here on time that's, reasonably priced that will look nice, right? It's like literally the filter questions get much smaller when you have a smaller amount of time. And what I love about that is it helps you really focus on what is important. So that's kind of the next thing. So the first one was figure out the humans in your life, what their skill sets are, delegate like crazy if you can. And then the other thing is, really hone in on what really is important and what's not important. And what are the things that you're not willing to negotiate on? And what are the things that you are willing to negotiate on? And then just open your heart for other people to want to help. And this was probably the most magical thing. My mom has this tons of place settings of this beautiful china that was an heirloom in our family. I think it was her aunt's china. And so she offered to let me borrow that so we could have a beautiful place setting for everybody. There were 11 people total coming to this wedding. And my dining room table, as it currently stands in the dining room, only holds 8 comfortably. I 8 is definitely all we can do. But I had a leaf and I was thinking, oh my gosh, if I could figure out how to put the leaf in, we could fit everyone. And so someone said, hey, why don't you put it, in the room adjacent to the dining room and you can put it the other direction and everybody can sit together. Because that was really my thing. There's only 11 people. I wanted everybody to sit together. So, I texted a couple buddies and I said, hey, you need to come over, please, a couple days before the wedding and help me move the table, put the leaf in and get everything all situated. So that worked great. Again, when you're on this tight timeline, it's just, you figure out when you can do it and you figure out how to do it. And one of my friends asked if I had favors, and of course I didn't. That was one of the things I had chosen not to worry about. And she said that she had enough favors left over from her wedding that she would mail them to me, and so we could have them. And she did, and it was so fabulous and special. It was they are wine corks with hearts on them. So yeah, shout out to Kim, shout out to Annie for the circle and all the fabulous ideas. And then let's see, I'm trying to think of the other magical things. Oh, and then another, friend of the couple provided, some fresh flowers that day, which was really sweet. And yeah, so bottom line, it was a very food. That's what I was going to talk about next. So food. So we have to figure out, okay, well, we really wanted to have, a really nice dinner after the wedding because, we kind of made it a little bit more, special and formal and beautiful. And so we wanted to have a really nice dinner. And we needed to cook it. So the friend who was really good at the music was also wanting to really learn how to make lasagna. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I make the world's greatest lasagna, according to me, of course, one point of data. And so we decided on lasagna because lasagna is also a good thing to feed a lot of people. However, we did also have a friend who was a vegetarian coming, and we wanted, him to feel welcome at all. Also, so it's like, okay, we're going to make a meat lasagna and a vegetarian lasagna. Holy cow! Never made a vegetarian lasagna. So again, first best choice. Went to All Recipes, which is a website that I really love getting recipes from. Looked at a couple, figured out what the vegetarian lasagna was going to be. And even though we never made it before, decided to make it on that very important day. Again, with delegation, I put together the shopping list. Someone else did the shopping while I got the house ready. And then the day of, everybody pitched in, getting it all set up. And it was a wonderful, perfect, magical day. The wedding was in January, which is not always a month that you can be outside, but the weather was absolute perfection. So we got a little bit of pixie dust there. And it was a day full of love and friendship. And got to tell you, that vegetarian lasagna recipe was spot on. I will be making that again. And everybody ate and had the best time. And so I was really, really proud to be able to, along, of course, with our crew, create a wedding in 9 days that was incredibly special and fabulous. So yeah, so I wanted to share that it is possible to do something, fairly significant and important in a short amount of time if you going to use your resources, right? What are the things that you already have available? Who can you ask to borrow things? What are the people that are also working with you, and what are their skill sets? Because this is not the time for someone to ramp up on something, right? I wouldn't have had my co-chef be someone who had never cooked before, right? And so, look around at the people and their skill sets, give them something that matches their skill set, figure out what you need the longest timeline for, right? And that in this particular situation was the ordering of things to make sure they got there on time. And then just pick your first, best choice that you have. Give some thought to what is important and what you can do without, and make the first best choice. The lovely thing about a short timeline is you don't have you don't have time to second guess yourself. So you just do what you want, and and let the magic of the occasion fill in the rest. So hopefully that's a fun and helpful story. So until next time. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Look forward to visiting again on the next episode of Handled-ish, Productivity for the Imperfect. Until then, please take care. And remember, you are doing way better than you think you are. Trust me.